Hello and welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Noah, and in this video I want to share with you my thoughts on why I personally believe the stock market is the future. As always, I hope you can take something away from this video, and with that being said, let's get right into it. So in this video, like I said, I want to share my thoughts on why I believe getting involved and getting knowledge of and taking part in the stock market is going to be basically the future. And if you are not partaking in it, if you're not invested in it, you are inevitably going to fall behind. There's a few reasons why I think this. The first reason is that we know that annual income increases, right? So every year, you make $50,000 in 2023, you make $51,000 or $52,000 in 2024 on average, right? That's not the case for everybody. Certainly there's extremes where you go from 50 to 100 or 150 to 250, whatever it may be, but it's few and far between. But what we do know is that income increases are not that high, especially when you take into consideration inflation, having kids, your car, breaking, buying a house, doing this and doing that and doing this and doing that. Accumulating wealth, banking on your income increasing on a yearly basis is not going to be enough, right? So that's my first reasoning why, if you don't, understand this and actually start getting involved with the stock market, your income increases are simply just not going to keep up in to build long-term wealth for you, right? They're not going to build up enough money. Your income increases are not going to be high enough to where, by the time you get to retirement, you'll be making $500,000, right? Generally speaking, that is just not going to be the case. Therefore, you need to get involved with investing to kind of help this along, right? To acknowledge that your raises are likely not going to be that big, but your money can be built up in the stock market instead. The second reason is that saving is not enough. And I think maybe an old school way of, financial security or well-balanced finances was just saving a lot, right? We would always hear it, at least I did when I was a kid, where, this person saved a lot, or, you need to be saving a lot, save. And in my personal opinion, I do believe that saving is certainly important, because you definitely do need, like a 6-month or a year reserve fund, right? In case, there would be a death, or you would lose your job, or the economy would go to shit, or whatever, right? Having extra money is important. It's also important for large purchases, because generally speaking, large purchases like a house, land, vehicles and so on, they require a little bit of money down. Certainly for houses, right? They require some money down, and you generally don't want to put nothing down, right? Because your monthly payments are going to be higher. That's a different story, but that's where saving, I think, comes into importance, right? Or that's the point of saving. But if you put all of your extra money into a savings account, the interest rate that you have right now, it's about 4.5%, or at least my savings account is 4.5%. But when the economy is relatively normal, the interest rates that you get in your savings account, I don't even think they beat out inflation. And we know in the last 3 years or so, especially 2021, 2022, whatever, 2020, inflation was 6, 7, 8%, whatever. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but they were very high, right? So clearly, if you were putting money into your savings, you were actually losing money, right? The value of your dollars in your savings account were depreciating throughout those years. And if your interest rate in your savings account isn't higher than what inflation is, this is going to be the case. But the downside to this is that we don't really know what inflation is going to be, right? Because it just depends. There's so many factors that determine that, but your interest rate is generally going to stay the same. So unless you are in a position where you are making $200,000+ a year, right? So saving, you have a lot of money to throw into savings to make a difference. In my personal opinion, just saving your money is just not going to be enough. Sure, at the end of however many years, you're going to have a chunk of change in the savings account, but if you were to take that money or half of that money and split it between a savings account and an investment account, your money, your finances would look far different, not in favor of just saving all of your money. So in this instance as well, getting involved with the stock market is, in my personal opinion, the better choice than just putting all of your money into savings. The third reason why I think the stock market is the future is because starting something or building, wealth outside of your normal 9 to 5 job, whatever it is, 410, however you want to call it, is extremely difficult. We are at a point, or at least I'm at a point in my life where I look around and there's very few things that have been done. Certainly there's room for improvement, but you're not just going to develop the great latest and greatest graphics processing unit in your garage, right, with a shovel and a rake and some mulch, right? It's just not going to happen. You're going to leave that to the companies that have the equipment to do so. Essentially saying building wealth, starting companies, making money outside of your normal job it's almost so difficult to the point where I think it's honestly kind of a fair decision to say, you know what, I'm not going to pursue that. I'm just going to do well in my respective field, and I'm going to be smart with my money. And it could be a downer depending on the way you look at it, but I don't think it's wise to not invest and not save whatever it is in hopes that one day one of your ideas or one of your projects, one of your companies or services, whatever it is going to take off, and that is going to get you to a comfortable retirement, an early retirement, or pay for your expenses in later life or something like that. It's just such a big risk, in my personal opinion, that not pursuing endeavors within the stock market to kind of bet your hedge is pretty foolish and very, very risky. The fourth and final reason why I think the stock market is the future is that it is just becoming mainstream, right? We have so much data. We have decades of data on how different funds perform, how stocks have been performing, and we can, with reasonable confidence, kind of articulate where they might look in the next 10, 20, 30, 40 years. Obviously, nothing is for certain, right? We're using statistics, and we're assuming the best. Expecting the worst would be maybe the world ending, right? And the all United States stocks going to zero, in which case nothing really matters. But it's becoming so mainstream, pardon me, that looking at the returns that you can kind of get investing 5,000 here or 10,000 here, you'd have this much here, you'd have this much in 10 years or 20 years, whatever it is. There's so much of that it is really, people are really waking up to the power of investing in the stock market and really how passive it is. When you invest or when you put your money, obviously there's 401ks that I could kind of talk about, but for the sake of this example, if you want to do your own investing, maybe you have a 401k and you also do your own investing, kind of like what I do, you can look at historical trends for different stocks or funds, whatever it is, and you can kind of articulate where you might be in 20 years. And all it really takes are weekly or monthly contributions and nothing else, right? You know the history of a certain fund, so that basically means you don't really have to be on your computer day and night trading and selling and buying and selling and shorting, and you don't really have to be doing any of that because the data kind of speaks for itself. And people are really, I think, waking up to that, or at least I hope they're waking up to that, to see that building long-term wealth is actually relatively passive. Is it going to be as much as what you might make, like I said in the previous example, starting a company? Probably not. But then again, the risks in starting your own company are exponentially higher, right? And you can actually go into quite a bit of debt if your idea doesn't work out. But there you have it. Those are 4 of my thoughts as to why I believe the stock market is really the future. And if you are not familiar with it, if you're not invested in it, if you're not partaking in it, I think it's going to be a very, very difficult later life. But of course, I want to hear from you guys as well. What do you think of my thoughts on the stock market? And what do you think might be some other alternatives that will really lead people to financial success in the future? Please let me know in the comment section below. I would love to hear your thoughts. With all of that being said, if you've stuck around this long in the video, I want to thank you so much for your time today. And as always, happy financing.